Well, we all have a variety of types of goals in our parenting. A lot of different things we want to teach our kids, a lot of skills that we want to give them. But though we could be so diverse, in a room this big, there's, lots of variety, I bet there is one goal that we all have in common. And that is that we want to teach our kids to like reading. Along those lines, we want them to do well in school. We want them to like learning, and then that usually just brings us back to we want them to like reading. I'm sure you already feel the weight of this topic, really no matter how old your kids are, right? When they are newborns, you are often told that it would be good to read to your newborn. The day you get home from the hospital, start reading to your newborn. Or I've even heard that it is good to read to your kid when they're in the womb. I don't know, I've never looked into that or whatever. But nonetheless, we know that it is good to read to our kids. And the reality is, we are all busy moms. We all have, long to-do lists. We have faces to feed. We have houses to clean. We have projects to do. And so we want to read, and we end up reading here or there with our kids, but it doesn't happen as often as we want. So that's what this morning is designed to help us do, to be motivated to think about all the benefits of reading so that we do desire to read more to our kids. And then hopefully also give you some tips and some tools so that you can do it better, so that you can raise kids that really like to read, both now and in the future. So I'm going to go through 5 benefits of reading that really are just going to be reminders. You're going to know these things, but hopefully they motivate you all the more. And then I also have 10 quick tips to do it better. And then the real treat of the morning is going to be when we bring up the panel and real live moms, just like you, who are going to share how they do it better, how they've learned to do it better, and then also give you some resources on books that could extend your library. You probably have some sort of library already with your kids, and hopefully you'll come home with some more ideas that you could either buy in the future or in our bookstore. You'll be able to buy them as well. So, the benefits of reading. The first point on the top of your page should be note the amazing benefits of reading. And we're going to jump right into the first one. A lot of great benefits, and I could probably, talk for hours on what these benefits are. So I just picked 5 that stood out to me as I looked into this more. And the first one is that it provides bonding time. It provides bonding time. Life is busy. It is not easy to sit down if you have little ones. You're chasing after them all the time. You're running around. You're doing all these different things. And reading causes you to just sit down and be together. And I think even as my kids have gotten older, the 6 and the 8-year-olds, I find that we can just get busy all throughout the house doing productive, good things. And we just end up doing our own thing, really. And it's oftentimes we're doing good things. And so it seems like, should we stop and read? Well, what's good about it, besides the benefits of reading itself, is it brings us together. It causes us to sit down and just spend time together and focus in on something together. So there's this bonding aspect that can go on. Now, it's bonding, too, not just in the time that you spend together, but in the way that it sets the stage to increase communication between you and your kids. When they're younger, it causes you to just have these interactions, about simple things, that, the questions they ask about the books or whatever. It just starts this pattern of sitting down with mom and having conversations where that becomes a normal thing. And then as they get older, that's my favorite part, is you sit down, you're reading a book, and for whatever reason, that's when these big questions come up. Like, Mom, what do you think of that person doing that? Should they have done that? And, the big life questions come up, and we're sitting there all together, maybe cozied up under a blanket, and we're talking about life together. That's just a really cool thing that reading is the cause of. Just the fact that we sat down to read a book is causing us to talk more about these things. So really, we hope that a pattern is really started in increasing our communication, where it becomes, really that normal thing that we sit down, we talk about life, and we talk about ideas together, both now and hopefully benefits in the future as well. But really, even if it's not deep talks, just that slowing down, to say, I want to sit down with my kids, I want to spend some time with them, and I want to enjoy something with them. And, really, probably not always enjoying the book itself. How many times do you want to enjoy that, what is that, Goodnight book? Goodnight Moon? Yeah. That is not an enjoyable book for me. But I enjoy my kids as I'm sitting there reading them these books. It's mathematically, if families read together for 20 minutes a day, 7 days a week, they would get more than 121 hours of bonding time every year. That's cool to think we're all busy, we're running around in life, doing all these different things, but just 20 minutes a day, you would have 121 bonding hours every year. It's good stuff. All right, number 2, it develops cognitive skills. Another amazing benefit of reading is it develops cognitive skills. I think that's what we think of most often. It comes to our mind. Just like we want our kids to have healthy, strong bodies, we want them to have healthy, strong minds. And books are often what is going to be the catalyst for that. Of course, when they're younger, it's teaching them those basic reading skills, just that letters make up words, and words are made up of sounds, and they have ideas and all that. But then it introduces all the other concepts that they need to know, the colors, the shapes, just all the basics, really, to start them off. But then as they get older, it's even neat that they start learning certain concepts, and that gets them interested in further concepts, like they start reading about trucks, and then that leads them to think, maybe I want to read about trains. A train was mentioned in that truck book. And then they start reading about other transportation. And then they start reading about the history of transportation. And then they start reading about timelines. And, it just goes from learning these different things that they enjoy that makes them want to enjoy learning more and then more. And so they just get this expanding knowledge because they started in a simple book, and then it went to another book and another book. And of course, it builds listening skills, it builds their imagination, their reading comprehension, their disciplined mind even. Having a longer attention span is helpful for learning, an ability to concentrate, logic skills. I was reading one specific study that was talking about when your little one says, one more time or again, basically read that book again and again and again. There's benefit to that, not just in the cognitive skills that were initially learned when you first read the book, but even logic skills in the sense of, okay, mom says, brown bear, what do you see? I see a goldfish looking at me. And then they start learning, oh wait, when that says that, the next page is gonna say that. And so their little minds are starting to build these logic skills about what comes next. If this happens, then this is gonna happen. So all these things are really just like push-ups for their brain, this workout for their brain. And hopefully they enjoy it more than push-ups, or at least as much as I enjoy push-ups. They start learning to enjoy this workout of the brain that they can continue for years and years to come, and that will serve them well in school for sure. Number 3 is a benefit of reading is it builds character. It builds character. The act of reading itself can build character. Just the concept of having self-discipline enough, the self-control enough to sit down and listen to a book. You've probably seen your little ones grow in that area. At first, they're squirming, they get up to go get whatever toy or this or that, and eventually they can sit longer. They've built some kind of self-control and self-discipline to be able to just listen to a book. So that itself. But then good character, if you're going to have that, you need to understand cause and effect. You need to understand that actions have consequences. You need to understand that there's right and that there's wrong, good logic and thinking, and books introduce all of those concepts. Life lessons are in books all the time. Maybe not the initial, infant, toddler books, but as they get older, books are usually full of one specific problem, and then the character, coming up with some kind of resolution. So you're really sitting down your child to have this life lesson that they can learn from, without even having to make the mistakes of whatever the life lesson is. So there's these life lessons that can build character just by sitting down and going through a book with your kids. Some books just teach good character, just on their own. That's what they're meant to do. And our panel is actually going to show you some of those kinds of books. I don't know about you, but I feel like I'm always teaching my girls something. It's like constantly mommy's having to teach this or teach that. So a book does it for you, right? The book is finally the voice that you want to have, but you don't want them to hear, once again, there goes mommy teaching me something else. It's like, no, they're the one who said don't hit. They're the one that said you need to share. It's not just mommy who says you need to share and you need to stop hitting. So books, it's like they come alongside you to teach your kids character. My favorite of all are the books that take it a little bit deeper, where it's not just, don't hit, make sure you share but it actually connects it to these eternal principles that are in the Bible, that, we don't do these things, or we do these things, because God says that we should be kind, because God says that we should be loving. So it provides this opportunity, for parents to sit down with their kids and teach some of the most basic things about who God is, that he is perfect and he's good, what the Bible calls he's holy. And because of that, he's the one who knows how we should live, and he has certain expectations of how we should live. So then we end up showing them that you don't push or you share or you whatever because God says it's a good thing to do, and we want to follow God. So it sets up this stage. It really provides this foundation, really, to talk about why there even is right and wrong. How do we even know what right and wrong is? Of course, all those things we can teach outside of books, but books are just a really good tool to come alongside you as a parent to teach these things. So it's not just teaching their mind, which is good and worthwhile itself, but it's really teaching their heart, who they're going to become. So obviously, books are awesome. All right, number 4. It instills good habits, Number 4 is it instills good habits. For life, really. If they start reading now, if they start to expect to read on a regular basis, they're going to expect it in the days and the weeks and the months to come and the years to come. Reading will become more a normal part of life. When they're younger, this is so key because they're moldable. They're willing to see reading as a good thing. They are willing to be won over to reading as really an exciting thing, something where you can jump into this story. If you're excited about it, they're going to get excited about it, and they see it as an indulgence instead of a chore. And how cool that would be if we raised our kids to see reading as an indulgence, something they enjoy, they get to do, rather than they have to do. It's been said that kids who are exposed to reading are much more likely to choose books over video games, television, and other forms of entertainment as they grow older. So exposing them young is key to allowing them to desire to do that on their own, which is important because one day they're going to need to read. They're going to have to read for school. If nothing else in college, they're going to have to read, but it's not going to be as stressful. You're not going to have to fight them as much if they've learned to enjoy reading. And number 5, it sets your child up for success. Really in all those ways that we've thought through, just the relationship aspect. Having a good relationship with you is going to set them up for success. Having a strong mind, having a good character, just that self-discipline, the long attention span, all of those things are going to serve them well in grade school and all the way up into college. It's going to make a difference. It's going to cause them to want to be lifelong learners. I read somewhere that for every year you read with your child, the average lifetime earnings increase by $50,000. So you make a $250,000 gift to your child from birth to age 5 by reading aloud just 20 minutes a day. I don't know how true that is, but, and then notice, it sounds a little more true when you realize we're not talking about like yearly income. It's not like $250,000 every year. But in their lifetime, giving them this contribution that's going to benefit them, because reading has this rippling effect. If you start to like to read, you want to read more. And so you start learning more, and then you want to learn more. And that causes you to want to learn more. And then if it's building your character too, all these things are benefited by reading that are going to benefit you in the long term. So don't think monetary amount, but realize that you are setting your child up for success in a variety of ways if you make a habit out of reading. So I have 10 quick tips that we're going to go through, and I'm actually invite the panel to come up and they'll get situated, get their books all ready, because we're going to bust through these really fast. Just some tips that will help you to read more and read better to your kids. So there should be a blank there. Tips to improve and increase reading sessions. Tips to improve and increase reading sessions. And number one is start small. Keep it short, simple, and often. Sometimes, if you're like me, I want to go big or go home, right? It's like, I got these massive goals. We're going to start reading a chapter book a day, or, something dramatic, or I quit. It's silly. Just start little and work your way up. And if you haven't been making this as much of a habit as you would want to, then expect it to be a little bit of a battle. They're not going to be realizing that this is awesome, right away at the moment you start. So expect it to be a battle, but start little, because if you don't like it and they don't like it, you're just going to both dread it, and you're not going to do it. It's not going to become the habit that you want it to be. So start tiny, and over the weeks, increase it little by little. Number two, choose engaging books. Choose engaging books, ones you can engage with, that you can sing to, that they're good pictures. What would win your child over? Find some books that would win them over, that they would get excited about. And number three, get a variety of books. A variety of books. More likely, you're going to find the book that captures your child and their interests and their personality if you get a variety of them. I have one who loves reading, but for whatever reason, I can't figure out what kind of books to get her. We go to the library, and I'm like, how about this one? No. How about this one? No. And basically what we do is we come home with 50 books. I got 2 library cards, and I fill those bad boys up. We're just taking truckloads home of books, and they're going to like some of them. If they don't like that one, fine. Go to the next one. Just getting a variety of them until they figure out what kind of books that they're into. And that's maybe when they're older, but even when they're littler, it keeps it interesting if you have a variety of the younger books too. Number 4, refresh the book choices. Refresh the book choices. Whatever way you got to do that, whether it be going to the library, whether you put certain books away and you just get certain ones out at certain times. If you do a book swap with a friend, pick different ones at different times. I'm sure there's books that you just end up ignoring. You know how it works. If there's something in your house that's there all the time, it just gets kind of you get bored of it. So find a way to refresh it so it keeps it exciting for your kids. Next, interact as you read. Interact as you read. Find times to stop and engage with them. Talk about the objects, the pictures. Go ahead and let them linger on that page a little longer. Sometimes I think quantity rather than quality, and that's not necessarily good. You're like, yeah, let's get through 5 books. But what if you did 1 or 2 books and you lingered there longer? And part of that is that bonding time, that communication time. It allows you to know more about your kid even. What do they think about when they see these books, and their desires and their wishes and their fears and all that? It allows you to learn about them in the process. Number 6, have fun. Have a little bit of fun with your kids as you read with them. Get silly, be creative, make it interesting. It doesn't have to be so scholastic necessarily. Just have it to be a good, fun, interesting time with you and your kids. Number 7, make reading goals. Wherever you're at, just add some more goals to it. I'm reading here, I want to add an extra time. I'm reading for this many minutes, I want to add this. I want to read this many books. Just realize the benefits of reading and say, I want to go a little bigger. I want to do a little more. And let's constantly be improving our reading with our kids. Number 8, read at strategic times. Read at strategic times. I'm sure you all agree that before bed, they realize that they have no other option. They're either going to sleep or they're reading. So that's a really strategic time to linger in the reading, to have that time before bed, when you need the house to calm down, when everybody's running around like crazy, or it's after dinner time, it's way too crazy. There's a good time to sit down with a book and read, or they start getting snippy with each other. All right, let's sit down and read a book. None of this. Let's do something productive together. Number 9, remember the practical benefits. We've talked about the amazing benefits, really, but also just think, when you are reading, there is something that is not happening. The house is not getting messier. When you are reading, What is happening? They are kept busy, and you are not having to come up with things. When you are reading, they are not fighting. I mean, there's so many things that good things are happening and bad things are not when you are reading. So remembering the practical benefits makes you read more. And number 10, develop routines that include reading. So just to make it a normal part of life. When you wake up, this is what we're doing. At lunchtime or at nap time or at bedtime or all these different times in the day, you're finding times where reading is the normal expected part. And that's especially where our panel is going to help us out. So they are all ready to go. And they have lots of routines that they have thought through that they've done over the years, or ones that they've learned about and they've recently implemented. And so they're going to tell us all about what they've learned, as well as some books that help them to do that. But before we do that, why don't you ladies introduce yourself, tell us a tad bit about who you are, and we'll get your picture up here too. So Karen, go for it.
Sure. My name is Karen Chen, and my husband's Bobby, and my second grader is Carrie Ann, and Brianna is my 5-year-old. Just a little tad bit. So my second grader, she knows how to read, and she can read really well, but her interest, I have to keep it there. My 5-year-old is an avid reader. She can be there for hours with lots of books. And I guess aside from reading, we like to mountain bike.
Nice.
That's a little short fact.
So you're saying you don't read books at home all the time, every day, constantly, 24 hours a day. Okay, good. She's normal, people. All right. Next person we have, Lindsay, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Lindsay Nations. I'm married to Jason. We have 3 kids, a first grader named Drake, a preschooler, 4-year-old named Lila, and a 2-year-old named Audrey. And Drake is a beginning reader. Lila is learning her letters and her letter sounds right now. I'm very excited to read, and my 2-year-old's nowhere near that. We like to spend time outdoors. We like to camp, go to the park, and do things like that.
Very nice. All right. Morgan, you're up.
Hi, everyone. My name's Morgan. That's my husband, Mac. My almost 3-year-old is Kaylin, and then the 1.5-year-old is Shay. That's just us loungily going through the park and just getting our picture taken, just as you do. That's what we look like every day.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, I don't have readers necessarily. We are still in the ABCs, and they enjoy books, but it's through lots and lots of practice that they like it. And yeah, we love Disneyland and doing lip sync battles amongst family members.
Oh, very nice.
It's really competitive.
So she is not normal, people.
No, I'm not
Just
normal
kidding.
at all.
But by raise of hands, how many of you out there are in more her stage, whereas you mostly have little ones that you're reading to, not a whole lot of readers? All right, that's helpful to know. Yeah, about half or more. Okay, very nice. So the first question is just about your routines. Tell us a little bit about what you do or like to do, goals in that category, whatever. Go for it.
So for us, at dinner, we just try to take a little snippet. I have a book here, just called My ABC Verses, and it's like a one-page thing. We like to just start off with, like, each letter goes with something, like give thanks to the Lord for he is good. And it talks about a little story about characters, and it kind of talks about, like, character traits that we can talk. And I can talk to my second grader, my kindergartner, and we can just have dinner talk, and it just helps us get the reading in and then conversations.
Nice.
Yes. For us, I feel like for so long, when it was super early on and my 1-year-old was just starting to be able to talk, it's like you're at home with her all day, and you're having these lunches, breakfast, lunches, and dinners, and I was thinking to myself, there's all this time where I'm just, we're saying 1 or 2 words to each other, and, saying the food over and over, or please and thank you or more, and I was like, this is such a missing time where I'm not, implementing something where I could be sharing a story with her, reading a book to her. So we started to implement that at least once a day. We try and make it so that 1 meal a day. If it's in the breakfast where we are not rushing, then it's breakfast time. If it's lunchtime, whatever it is, we're trying to make it so that it's interactive. It can be something that then she's looking at the pictures, she's showing me what animals she sees, or whatever it is. And it's just putting that into practice so that it's not something that's like I'm trying to implement, when they're in school and they're away for most of the day. So yeah, we love that. And story time at night has always been for us like very special because Papa always reads the book. So it's, he comes home, that's like his special time, and it's always like if I try and read the book, it's you're not the one that's reading the book. It's Papa that gets to read it, and it's a very special time for him where he's able to just enjoy that and seeing how they progress so so quickly and learn so much, so fast.
That's a good goal right there, is thinking at mealtime. We all have kids that eat a lot. Just picking a mealtime where you read more, that's a good one. What else?
One of the things that I do that I have found is very helpful through a lot of trial and error is splitting up who reads to my 6-year-old and my 4-year-old and who reads to my youngest. Because I was feeling like when I would read to everybody all at once, we had kids at all different comprehension levels, and trying to find books that would appeal to all three was difficult. So my husband and I will switch off in the evening before bed who will read to my 2 oldest ones and then who will read to the youngest one. And we feel like that has really, really helped with the kids being able to connect with the books that they're reading, and for us to be able to really enjoy the time. Because if we try to read to all 3 of them at once, a lot of times you have one that's just completely not interested. So it's helpful.
Just to add on is I think allowing sufficient time. And bedtime can be really chaotic, but if you really make it a priority and carve it out, I think that's so important.
Definitely.
And just reading to your kids, and then when your kids start to read, have them read back to you, because that's so important that you understand. And then also solo reading, really implementing that. If they're just starting off, just start 5 minutes, then gradually make it to like 15, and if they can make it to 30, that's great too.
Yeah, thinking of that 20-minute a day, goal to do it 20 minutes a day. Those routines, if you did it like 5 minutes in the morning, one of those meals that Morgan talked about, and then like 10 minutes at night, you've done it right there, 20 minutes a day, and you haven't even added random times. It's just those routine kind of times. Nice. All right, ladies, what have you done? Obviously, there's going to be challenges when it comes to reading to our kids. What have you done to make it go better, whatever the challenges might be that you faced?
One of the things that I have started doing recently is what I call story time. And I still will spend a lot of time sitting on the couch, cuddling with my kids when I read. But occasionally, I will ask my kids to sit down, crisscross applesauce in front of me, and pick out a book that will be really engaging for them, and have them look at me. And I will read the book, facing away from them. And then once the page is done, then I'll turn it around and show them the picture. And I feel like this has really been helpful with teaching them patience and self-control, and it's worked in library story times, in preschool. They've been able to sit still better. One great book that I have been using for this is called The Biggest Story. It is a fantastic book with all sorts of different Bible stories in it, but it's written in a storybook format, kind of like a fairy tale in a sense that it just flows like a story would. It's got amazing pictures that will even keep all 3 of my kids entertained, and they just love waiting to see what's going to be on the next page.
Favorite book ever, right there,
Yeah,
people.
I
That is such a good
love
one.
that one.
Yes.
I have very active children, so it was always like the wigglies that would happen, and I would always see it, and it was like, I was expecting them to be playing, running around, and then, okay, now it's serious time, we're gonna sit, and again, it was just like immediate. And so I realized through trial and error that for us, we have to have some form of getting the wiggles out. So whatever, we kind of created our own way where we call it sugar cookie.
You want to show us?
I should have worn pants. But we basically roll. I don't know why it started, but it just started one day where we were rolling around on the floor and rolling, and for us, we were acting like we were putting sugar on a cookie and rolling in sugar. And so
Don't you guys want to see her do it?
I think this
Just
needs to be in the
kidding.
announcements. next
I'll
week, the
show you.
video.
I'll take a video and then put it up there. But it's
Nice.
something that like they know that that's them being silly and getting their wiggles out, because it's about to be, sit down and actual sitting and having self-control. So for come up with something that's silly for you. That, if it's dancing, if it's, whatever it is, you kind of come up with your own family way of kind of being able to get the silliness out so that you can actually sit and pay attention for them.
Very nice.
Well, for us, I know a lot of verbal praise and encouragement is huge. When they start reading, I remember when Carrie Ann, my older one, when she was in kindergarten starting to read, and she picked up a book and she went through the whole thing. I'm like, Carrie Ann, I am so proud of you. And her eyes just lit up. And then she picked up another book and she kept going and just praising even again and again, because praise and encouragement never gets old. And I think that has really helped. And another time is I said, oh, they love playing games like Uno. So I said, okay, let's try to finish like their 20 minutes of reading, and then let's play a game of Uno. And then, of course, I had to check to see if she really understood the game, the book. But it's just little times like that. I think the quality time, looking forward to something, really helps. And I think having that positive way of reading and what comes with it is just so rewarding for them and for me, just to have that time with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the interactive, we read this Big Thoughts for Little People. Really great illustrations, such a great book. And they, here, like further, right here, it says H, it goes through the alphabet, kind of similar, where H is for helping your mom or your dad. It says in the Bible that this makes God glad. And you can see it's like torn because it's loved so much. But we make it interactive, so I found that what's most helpful is books that have animals, big hits, or that have really great illustrations where you can then, these have questions like point to all the kids who are helping. What are they all doing? So when they have to answer questions and be more interactive, that's happened now at like from 1.5 on, that they're able to point at animals and tell me what they're doing, and those kind of things kind of make a fluid conversation where they're actually able to grasp a little bit of the story, which is super exciting because that hasn't happened for us. We're not having like actual readers yet. So I would say anything that when we go to the library, we look for the covers that have animals on it usually, because that is what is going to keep their attention, and that's what I found is helpful to actually grab them in and keep them.
Yeah.
I was going to say for the topics too is get them engaged with their interest. Like if your boys are interested in bikes or toys and trucks, as they get older, you can start reading to them, not just the picture books, but actually reading about them. And like my other girl, she loves penguins, so we get a book on penguins, and she loves reading about it. And the library is such a great resource because they have prizes. Like the most recent one is if you read 5 books, you get an In-N-Out burger. So they have little incentives.
Do they have that right now? I've been keeping my eye on that one. Good to know.
The El Toro one that I...
Oh, okay, gotcha. Oh, that's not mine. All right, what other resources do you have? You mentioned the library. What else?
One of my favorite resources is the Compass Bookstore here. Every day after navigating motherhood, it is open. It's straight through these doors, and then make your first left, and you'll run straight into it. They have got an amazing selection of books, tons of books, anything from board books up to books for adults and everything in between. This is one book that we got at the Compass Bookstore called Hero Tales, and it is about all sorts of different Christian heroes. And one of my favorite things about this book is that you can go to the table of contents and look and see for a character quality that you want to talk with your children about. And it can be anything from joy to happiness to contentment, perseverance, all sorts of different things. And then you can read that story. At the end, it will also have a let's talk about it section, so you can ask questions and really dig deeper into that. It's been really helpful.
Yeah, we're big story time people, big. Like we go pretty much once a week when we were really sad. October, they have time off. So, and they have it, so it's so practical where they have, the songs and they make it so it's, they have like a little instrument they get to play with. So the girls look forward to that every single time. It's not necessarily successful every single time, but they love it every single time. And I feel like for us, like I've said, we've always just grabbed books just based on, seeing the cover and seeing there's an animal on it we like, and I don't necessarily have time to flip through and read and make sure it's a great message. And so there's been times that I was even sharing with them where I'm in the middle of reading the story and nope, I do not like what this is about to teach you right now, because it was a girl that was telling her parents no continuously, and the parents were doing whatever the child wanted. So it was one of those, she was getting her way because she just kept telling her parents no. I'm like, she's totally in the no phase. We are not telling her this story. So it was a really cool moment to be able to say, oh, she said no to her parents, and do we do that? And to actually talk it out with her, and have it be something that she could actually think through and be like, oh, that's not right, and actually talk to her why that isn't right. And it was a really cool teaching moment. But yeah, I would say that as you're reading it, you sometimes are in the middle of reading one of the books and okay, we're just the end, and closing the book and putting it down and saying, we're gonna not pick up that one again.
Yeah.
Because it's just not practical to read it in the library. But yeah, I would say just make it so it can be a great teaching moment for them too, and you don't have to shy away from it.
Yeah, good reminder.
Yeah, tagging on to that because they have in the bookstore a Help Me Be Good series, and they have different kinds of topics, like being selfish is one of them. Another one is whining, like who doesn't deal with that? And disobedience or disobeying. I mean, these are little books that are in a little cartoon form, and so it has little dialogue, so you can talk to your kids about, oh, yeah, what is she doing that's wrong? And then these are in the bookstore as well. And there's just little issues that little kids deal with, maybe even adults.
Yeah, get one for yourself.
It's a good reminder.
I have another good character book I really wanted to share. A friend of mine is called Sanji's Seed. I don't want to give it away, but it's really talking about character and honesty, being truthful. How much I want to talk about it, but it's about who's going to be chosen king, and it's about the most unlikely thing. So maybe if you guys want to pick up this book, it'll be a great one on character, truthfulness, integrity. So that's another good one.
And I would say, like, we're always looking at families that are like maybe older girls that are in a different reading stage. And we're always like, so I know that there's like only a limited shelf space. So for us, we're
Just looking for freebies, is what you're saying?
Looking for freebies. Because like for us, there'll be kids who, are friends that are in now like the 3rd and 4th grade. She was moving and she was like, I have so many books that we cannot bring over to our new house. So we went through and grabbed all the ones, and it's such an easy, because they're expensive. You can't, buy all these books. So just be looking to see like what kids are older.
What you can get from other people.
Another place where you can get free books too are some people in some places have those little free libraries. They look like birdhouses, and there's one over at the Lake Forest Sports Park where you can bring books and drop them off, and it's kind of hit or miss, but sometimes we found some really great books in there.
Oh, and Amazon too. This is where I got mine, is the Action Bible. This one is more of like a Marvel comic illustration. I thought it was so good. It's so engaging. Again, I'm all about like the dialogue. A lot of great pictures. Like Lindsay was saying with the captivating illustration, that really helps keep them engaged. And Amazon also has, used books too that you could get so pretty cheap.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to move down to basically our last question and thought is basically any tips that you want to give or anything extra that you would want to say that you've learned or done or liked or whatever, open to whatever at this point.
I would say that, we were reading to them since they were like days old, and I think for so long we were like looking at them. They're just looking at us blankly, for so long, and we're like, they're not even taking in anything. So, but I feel like just recently we've started to see just her love for like she loves it, and she thinks of it as like a really fun time because that's just what we've always done. And she loves the kind of repetition, all those repetition, nursery rhymes for her were something that she can start to kind of memorize in a sing-songy way of memorizing them. And we were, being creepers, looking on the, we told them to go have, sister time in the room, and we were like looking on the baby monitor in her room. And she was sitting down on her bed, Sissy was sitting down in the bed, and she was totally reading Jack and Jill went up the hill. And she's, in her, baby voice, and it was like one of those like, oh my goodness, she's like, she's not necessarily reading it, but she's knowing that the picture and what book, what story is associated with it, and she's able to kind of take that in. And it's something that, it's an investment. It takes a long time, but it's going to pay off. It's going to be so great for them. You're teaching them something to have self-control, being able to sit down and enjoy it later on in life. So keep on at it.
Yeah. Worth it.
One of the
Working.
things that I do is I don't always let my kids pick which books they're going to read. I feel that at certain times of the day, it's more important for me as the mom to pick the book. During breakfast time, most days I will read this book called Sticky Situations 2. There is a Sticky Situations 1, but it's for older kids. This one is really great for preschool and elementary. And the thing that I like about it is that each day it has a different story about some fictitious character and a situation that character is in. And it's short, it's only one page, and then at the end of the story, it will give 3 options. Should Johnny A, B, or C? And then it gives you that opportunity to really be able to talk to your kids about what they should be doing in these situations. And we do it at breakfast time because one's going off to elementary school, one's going off to preschool, and I want them to be equipped to be able to handle these social situations that they might face throughout the day.
Anything, Karen?
I would say talk to your babies, even though they're so young, days old, weeks old, months old. Talk, talk, talk. We never did the babble baby talk, maybe every so often, but just talk to them what you're doing. Mommy's brushing her teeth. Mommy is doing laundry. I'm folding a shirt now. And just as it gets older, or they get older, 1 year, 2 years, they're going to pick up on those words, and then they're going to say, Mommy doing laundry, or, like those little cute words that they do. But talk to them all the time, even when they're 7 and they're older.
Yes.
I feel like they're old now, not babies, but I
Yeah.
would say that.
All right, any last words, ladies?
Voices. I would say voices
Ah.
and accents always keeps, if I'm
Yes.
seeing that they're like trailing off and they're not paying attention, mommy gets an English accent.
Nice.
And now the character in the story has like a silly voice or a really low voice or like whatever
Yeah.
it is that like will draw them back in. That
That would
works
work.
every time.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I'd listen.
Fun. Keep it fun, interactive.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah, I wanted to share this one book too that I know that some of you with boys, I mean some girls too, I know there's somebody over at table 1 who likes dinosaurs. And this book has been fantastic for my now first grader. It has all sorts of awesome pictures. He got it when he was about 3. And the pictures can just keep little boys entertained. You can talk about that. But then when they get a little bit older, it has so much great information. It's called Dinosaurs by Design, and it's also available in the bookstore.
Yeah, so go by the bookstore for sure today and next week. And for Christmas gifts, books are obviously a great gift to give to your kids. Probably better than a lot of the trinkets we end up getting. But really what I hope you took from today is reading is worthwhile. And it would be good to instill some more habits and make it more a part of your life. There's going to be so many things we will look back on as moms and think, all right, I didn't need to spend so much time on this, or I didn't need to spend so much time on that. But I bet we will never regret all the time we spent reading. We won't say, oh, I wish I didn't read so much to my kids. What a waste of time that was. We will be glad that we spent whatever time we did on reading. So you guys have some time right now to hopefully discuss some things, tips that you have for each other on how you've done that in your home, and hopefully have a good discussion leaving ready to read more and better to your kids.